Poor America.
Good morning, everyone. Check it out. Do you guys recognize this face? Do you remember the Lemonheads who have the diehard Lemonheads will know that this is my friend Tracy from the West Coast.
One of my best friends.
Yes, she is
my colleague, who's not my colleague, but who's a genius who I love. Hi, guys. It's so good to see you.
It's good to see Tracy. Tracy is our West Coast Hollywood correspondent. She's here. We want to talk about news. We're like, Tracy, we have to talk about what's happening in the world. She's like, I want to talk about Diddy.
I want to talk about Diddy. I want to talk about Taylor Swift and Blake and Justin. I want to talk about Trump's idiotic stance on new tariffs and taxes and crypto and everything insane that, Don said in 24 hours. I said 24 minutes. It's hard to keep up. Hi, Maureen. Nice to see you too. And hi, everyone. But my name is spelled Tracey. But thank you, Carol, for remembering that. I so appreciate that.
Yeah. All right. So good morning, everybody. We have a lot to discuss, a lot to talk about this morning. You guys saw what's happening. It's crazy. Look, I think one thing that's going under the radar that's really, really bothering me is this whole thing about, what's happening with the him having this meeting.
The crypto meeting.
The crypto meeting. It's insane. The crypto meeting is insane. So we have a smorgasbord of news for you this morning. Let us know where you are streaming from. Say hi to TikTok. We're live on TikTok. We're live on Instagram. We're live on what do you call it? Facebook. And of course, we're live right here on YouTube. Our main show is on YouTube. So make sure you hit the like, hit the thumbs up. Your comments on YouTube will get highlighted and profiled, and we will read them. Tracy's gonna,
fill in the blanks.
Yeah, fill in the blanks. Okay, so the commander in chief. Do you think that's a good way of putting it?
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's extraordinary, as I said to Don last night, that he's been president February, March, April, almost 5 months, and
almost a half a year.
Almost a half a year. The
June.
level of corruption and thievery is just unending. It's just. You don't even know where to start to correct it. Yeah. It's so difficult and complicated.
What were you saying to me last night when you were asking me about what's going on? Because Tracy was on a plane all day trying to get to me yesterday, flying across the country in the bad weather. And I was filling you in on what's going on. I said he had this crypto meeting. I talked to you about the bill passing, whatever. And you said, and I talked to you about what the media folks with reports on ABC, saying, calm down. That's the reporting from the Daily Beast.
You mean that Bob Iger is telling The View and people like that to basically shut up and can their anti-Trump views?
And you said you were walking out of the door and you said it's almost as if he's God. Like, what did you say?
I said it is as though he's God and there's no stopping him. And every day he can literally do and say, or I should say and do whatever he wants with zero to less repercussions, if that's possible.
Yeah, with impunity.
With absolute impunity. It's not just the MAGA folk, it's everyone now who's just, I think people have just said, I give up. There's nowhere to go. What can I do? And
I was telling you about Harvard. That's when you
we talked about Harvard.
So listen, it's a brazen heist. It's a new round of tariffs is about to hit the economy and the stock market is down.
Again.
Let me know how much the stock market is down, guys. Harvard is officially suing the government over the blanket ban of international students, and we need to reflect on this monstrous, disastrous, really awful anti-Semitic attack in Washington, D.C. Yesterday. It's just awful. I think it was a day before yesterday.
It was 2 days
ago. Before last, yeah. To discuss all of this is my co-pilot, my fan favorite of you guys, Tracy Jacobs, West Coast Hollywood correspondent.
So happy to see you all and to be here and delighted to participate and to be asked.
Yeah, I am being told that the Dow is...
It's down about 800 points since yesterday.
Yeah, now it's down 300 points. This morning when we asked...
It's going up and down a little bit.
Someone said, it's down 400 points, not a big deal. And I said, it's not a big deal in this environment because it's been around
the bigger deal is not just the tariffs that he's threatening the EU, on putting on June 1st. It's also what he's saying to Apple: if you don't start manufacturing here as opposed to India or China, we're going to whomp another 25% tariff on Tim Cook and Apple. And I don't know how they change their manufacturing within, however short a time Trump has given them. I imagine, once again, this is a lot of talk, and that ultimately it won't completely come to pass. There'll be some variation of it because he likes to fulfill his threats, but he never goes full tilt boogie.
No, what he does though is he says, I'm going to do this tariff, this really crazy amount, and then he lowers it as if he's doing something when he's actually relenting, but then he makes it sound like a win.
I think what's going to happen is the stock market is getting used to these gyrations, and that 50% of what he says is accurate and 50% he doesn't do. Also, the Supreme Court just said there's one person he can't fire, and that's Jerome Powell.
Yeah.
And which is a good thing. I think it would be awful for the economy, but Trump really has him in his eyesight to get rid of.
Yeah. So let's show you the chaos that is happening. This is a tweet that shows all the last chaos in the 24 hours. Really, it should be the next 24 minutes. This one, as soon as AP put this tweet out, it was null and void because something else has happened. 25% tax on Apple products while singling out the CEO for retribution. 50% tax on European goods. Expulsion of foreign students. Bill passed with most debt in history.
Cutting Medicaid.
Yet while hosting a dinner for people who gave you $300+ million, all within 24 hours. The golden age. Do you agree with Ron Filipowski on that?
I mean, again, I keep going back, and I know I'm trying to be funny, but it's really not funny. We say in the last 24 hours, and I keep saying the last 24 minutes because an hour feels like a second right now. It's very, very frustrating because these are all dreadful, destructive things he is doing. And completely, thank you so much, enriching himself once again using the cryptocurrency to enrich himself personally. It's like the Qatari plane. Again, it's just, there's so much to do. Where do you start? And I think that's the big question is every day it's something bigger, worse, and more destructive. Where do we all start? We're all Americans. He's going to cut Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, the things he absolutely swore that he would never touch. Well, the new tax bill says different.
He promised to never touch them. As a matter of fact, there was something I was looking for. I think that was Marco Rubio back in the day. And Republicans are all saying the same thing back in the day. We will never, ever touch Medicaid or Medicare or Social Security. And then all of a sudden, they're touching Medicaid,
all of it,
and Medicare. Let's put up the New York Times thing. We'll talk about that, and then we'll get to the tariffs. This is a New York Times article talking about this crypto dinner that happened yesterday. Yesterday, and it was in
Virginia.
It was at one of his golf courses. So hundreds joined Trump at an exclusive dinner with dreams of crypto fortunes in mind. Look, I know when people hear crypto, their eyes kind of glaze over. But what this shows is that as the American people are going to have cuts in social services that they relied on, right? We call it our social safety net in order to make ends meet, take care of their health or whatever. Not everybody is as rich as Trump. So America is getting poor. Prices have not gone down.
No, they've gone up, actually,
as he's promised, right? And he is making more money off of a meme coin and a crypto coin after he got all the American people who supported his campaign to pay for his fucking legal bills. How is this possible?
Well, let's not even include what CBS is about to pay him for the settlement. And it all goes to him personally, or his foundation, or his maybe presidential reelection fund.
I think Cynthia's right. Let them eat cake. Scroll up on this article. Go ahead. Do you think Cynthia's right?
I do. I think this is just, it's so out of hand. I did say to Don, the frustration, I think, for all of us watching and listening and all of us out in the world is, where do we start? It is so intrinsically corrupt. Every aspect of the government, the Supreme Court, Harvard suing, who are they going to end up going to? They're going to end up going to the Supreme Court. Who's the Supreme Court going to side with? And that's the frightening thing, is we have no recourse anymore. Let them eat crypto. I love that comment.
Let them eat crypto. Margaret Kellner for the win. You get the apple. I think we have an apple here somewhere. President Trump gathered Thursday evening at his Virginia golf club with the highest paying customers of his personal cryptocurrency, promising that he would promote the crypto industry from the White House.
Like he promoted Tesla from the White House. These are all completely unethical and corrupt venues to do.
It was in Virginia. It was held at the Trump National Golf. By the way, there were protesters outside calling this event historic corruption of the presidency at his suburban golf course in Virginia, suburban Washington, D.C., where Trump flew from the White House on a military helicopter. You're paying for it. Turned into an extraordinary spectacle as hundreds of guests arrived. Many have flown, having flown to the United States from overseas. This is crazy. Now imagine if Biden or Obama had done this. Can you imagine? But her emails, all that shit.
We can't imagine any of this because the least, I mean, look how they're, I don't need to use this word, killing Biden over not announcing, who knows when he found out that he has this cancer. It's a horrific, horrible, painful thing. And yet MAGA and the rest of the Republicans are turning it into a conspiracy. Can you imagine if Obama announced he had prostate cancer and it had spread to his bones and people came out against him because they said he knew for years and didn't tell anyone, and that's on top of the dementia that he allegedly has.
What about the dementia Donald Trump allegedly has?
Well, Donald Trump is a whole different story. I'd love to see the results of his tests that he took. What's a cow? Wow, it looks like a giraffe.
So what do you, since you're talking about that, first of all, I want to get over this cryptocracy thing. Caroline Leavitt responding in a press briefing, being asked about this dinner. Here it is.
Thanks, Caroline. Back to the presidential gala tonight. Did anyone in the White House or in the White House counsel's office advise the president against holding this sweepstakes, whereby people who spent the most money on his Trump coin would then have access to the president at this dinner?
Again, the president has been asked about this. He has addressed this. I have also stated previously from this podium that the president is abiding by all conflict of interest laws that are applicable to the president. And I think everybody, the American public, believes it's absurd for anyone to insinuate that this president is profiting off of the presidency. This president was incredibly successful before giving it all up to serve our country publicly. And not only has he lost wealth, but he also almost lost his life. He has sacrificed a lot to be here, and to suggest otherwise is frankly completely absurd.
Enough.
Oh my God.
What the fuck?
It's all a conspiracy. Yes, the president has addressed ethics considerations, just like in accepting the Qatari plane, which I can only hope is a spy plane for the Qataris. The point is, the level is so deep. Of course she's going to say that. It doesn't matter. And now they've all taken Trump and Caroline Leavitt to embarrassing reporters, particularly from the linear news media, and saying that they're stupid, they're not informed. And you know what? It no longer matters. If I were a reporter right now in the White House having to listen to Caroline Leavitt drone on, I would just completely ignore her and I wouldn't care what they said. I'd view it as a compliment because no one is standing up to what is really going on. And these reporters are doing the best they can in a very ridiculously complicated, corrupt situation.
Well, I don't think any real news ever comes out of that.
No.
This is all a show.
Other than lies.
Other than lies.
That's it.
So, and the reporters who are behind the scenes doing the hard work, right? That's where the actual news comes from. This whole, I've been saying this since this Caroline Leavitt took over, and even before that, this is going to be a show. Everything that happens in that briefing room is a show and a lie. She doesn't care what she says. Someone tells her in her ear when they ask you this, the president is abiding by all laws, whatever. She goes, the president is abiding. It's just like
he is abiding by all the laws he created for himself.
Yeah.
And his cronies.
I think they could be. I do think that the media could be a little bit tougher. Yes, it is a very tough environment.
Yeah, but then they attack. But then he attacks NBC News and says you're stupid. He literally
you're a terrible reporter.
It's like the whole thing that went on with the South African president, which was horrifically embarrassing. Forget about Donald Trump. He's an embarrassment. But for our country, for our country. It's
Yeah.
just none of what I really believe the majority of Americans don't go along with this.
Hmm.
I really believe that. I have to believe that. But it's what are we going to do about it?
One more thing. I don't know if you can stomach this one. This is
I'll try.
Kevin Hassett on the White House lawn speaking to my former colleague Pamela Brown over at CNN about this crypto dinner. Remember, this isn't about crypto. This is just about the grift that is taking Americans' money, and then him adding to enriching himself and lining his own pockets.
I'm going to just ask you about this dinner tonight. President Trump is going to host hundreds of people who purchase millions in his meme coin. Today, you heard the press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, say that he's doing this in his personal time, at his private club. But tomorrow, the top 25 people who spent the most money on his meme coin are eligible for a private tour at the White House. Are you comfortable with this dinner and these tours, which are likely to go to a number of wealthy foreigners?
Everything that the president's done has been carefully scrutinized by White House counsel, and they've given him the guidance that that's okay, and that's enough for me.
So, but what do you say to Americans who are watching this and who are concerned that the president is sort of using the office to enrich himself with the business and having this dinner with foreigners who are giving all of this money, and the White House is not even releasing a list? Do you understand why Americans are concerned? What do you say to them?
Look, the American people voted for President Trump because they know that he puts America first. Okay. He's putting America workers first. That's why we're getting the 17.
We're good.
I mean, all it is they're all responding to the canned response, which is everything the president does is according to the rules of his general counsel has told him, according to ethics considerations, and it's all bullshit. Oh, am I allowed to swear?
Yeah, you can say bullshit.
All bullshit.
You can say bullshit.
And we all know
Whatever.
that. It's all, and what was Lamar Odom doing?
Oh my gosh! If
I don't even understand
why
that.
Is Lamar Odom? Well,
Does he
Lamar
have any money?
I guess
from
he still
all the
has
money he spent on drugs.
I guess he still has some
And
money, or maybe he's
rehabs?
investing in crypto. A lot of the professional athletes are crypto investors. We were talking this morning. This whole crypto thing and the way they're defending it. It's all bro culture. Crypto is like a dude thing that came about. That's mostly dudes.
Welcome to America. It's mostly dudes anyway, mostly white dudes. Sorry, as a white woman who's had it in my face, I can say it is a bureaucracy run by middle-aged white dudes. That's what this is. Or, and I should say in Donald Trump's case, old Altacockers, which is a redundancy, who are running the universe.
I love that. I love when you speak Yiddish. Altacocker. The thing about Yiddish, what is it? What is it? Somebody let me know. What is it when a word sounds exactly like what it is? What do they call it?
I don't know the literal meaning, but it's like an old.
It's an old. Yeah, it's an old.
Who's out of touch.
Yeah.
Which is, what ding, 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 ding. Thank you, Katie. I agree. It is ding, 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 ding. And we all know it. This is the saddest part. I believe if we really got down in the dirt and asked people how they felt about losing their Medicaid, potentially Medicare and Social Security, I would say, including the MAGA folks and the Republicans, no one is going to be happy about that. That's their base who live on that. I'm on Medicare. I'm 67 years old, believe it or not. Good facelift at age 56. But it still holds a couple fillers every here and there. But what I'm saying is that no one wants to lose those benefits. Those are the only thing Trump promised, which, like everything else he says, is meaningless.
Yeah. Someone is right in the chat. Whoever said onomatopoeia, that's what it is. It's when it sounds like when you say someone was stooping someone or something, it sounds just like
someone was stooping someone. Someone was stooping.
Even you know what that means, even if you don't know the language.
If you don't.
Tracy, it's hot as hell in here. Are you warm yet?
I gotta feel comfortable.
Tracy I gotta turn the heat down. Jesus.
I'm a cold.
My gosh. It's like 350 degrees in here. Sorry about that. Sorry, I have to get back to the anyways.
Hi, Gail.
Let's go. I want to put up this definition because I think this is what we're in now. I think it is a cacistocracy.
I've never heard of that.
Which is kind of like an onomatopoeia, right? It is a government is government by the worst, least qualified, or most unscrupulous
what a great word.
People.
That's true. This is where we are today. I've never heard of that word. When is this a new word to the English language? It's going to become pretty familiar.
No,
Guys, let's all learn it together. Cacistocracy.
But it was
government by the worst, least qualified, or most unscrupulous people. That is where we are. I've heard of autocracy and all of the other terms. This is the perfect terminology for where we are for the Trump administration. Thank you. And for where we are just in general in the world.
Cacistocracy.
I've never heard of it.
But you love it.
Men who wear khakis. Yeah, we wish. Can you see Donald Trump wearing khakis? It would not be a pretty picture.
We do. We see it on the golf course with the white shirt with the sweaty white stomach.
I'm sending him to my plastic surgeon. Disgusting.
The word of the day, everybody, is cacistocracy.
Never heard of it. Great word.
But I think Altercocker is good. I love Altercocker. It's like
it's
an old dude, just like what it sounds.
It's an old dude out of touch.
Yeah.
And that's what we're being run by.
Yeah.
It's the exact opposite of meritocracy. Correct. Mm-hmm. We are not in a meritocracy. We are everything but.
Yeah. Okay. Time to take a break to get a word from our sponsors. I got to pay some bills, Tracy. Is that okay?
Can I read any of this?
No, you can't because
sorry.
I have to read it. Yeah, and you can't say anything.
I'll shut my mouth.
Okay, you shut your mouth. Okay, so listen, it's important that we have sponsors and we love our sponsors. So support for the Don Lemon Show today comes from Shopify, and you guys know this was a dream for me to start my own business, to be able to have autonomy over my life, my schedule, everything so I get to do what I want. But it can be really challenging to start a business, and people get really nervous about it. What if I can't do it alone? What if I don't have the skills? Well, turn those what ifs into why nots with Shopify by your side. So there you go. Look, Shopify has all the tools, all the templates, everything to help you if you're trying to start a business, if you're trying to start an e-commerce site. It is all right there for you. Guidance, 24/7 customer service, award-winning customer service. They have helped thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people. If you're worried that people haven't heard about your brand, Shopify will help you find your customers with easy to run email and social media campaigns, among many other things. So turn those dreams into and give them the best shot at success with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/lemon. Go to shopify.com/lemon, shopify.com/lemon, and turn those dreams into ka-ching. Thank you to Shopify. Also, support comes from, and this is something that I really want to talk about, something that is near and dear to my heart. You can comment on this. You know how I feel about women's rights and women having autonomy.
Yes, I do.
You know about that. So that's why I want to talk about the sponsor today that we have. Sure. Support comes from MSI United States. This is incredibly important, especially with all the cuts that have been happening with USAID and all of the services that we have been helping people around the world, and especially women. You think women in this country don't have rights? They are losing their rights. If you look at what happened with Roe v. Wade, yes, women are losing their rights here, but all over the world, we were helping women have autonomy over their bodies and especially their reproductive rights. And now that is being taken away. But that is where MSI comes in. Women are facing a major crisis. Cuts to foreign aid for modern, safe contraception are putting lives in jeopardy. But there's this organization, MSI Reproductive Choices, an international charity that has been providing vital care to women in 36 countries for years. MSIUnitedStates.org is the website where you can find out more. They have launched the Choice Emergency Fund to replace USAID funding cuts. 257 million women cannot access the contraception that would put them in control of their lives. Imagine that. No access to contraception because you live too far from a health center, or you can't afford it. So MSI can provide a woman with contraception for a whole year, $6.50, everyone. You can give a woman a year of freedom from worry for just $6.56. This is real impact. This is real important. Go to MSIUnitedStates.org and give what you can, or you can text LEMON, my last name, to 511-511. To be clear, it's M as in modern, S as in safe, I as in informed, MSIUnitedStates.org, or again, you can just text LEMON to 511-511. MSI has great ratings with Charity Navigator and Candid, and that's 94% of your gift goes to charitable activities. MSIUnitedStates.org, or text LEMON to 511-511. Text fees may apply. Thank you to our sponsors. And Tracy, on the show, I don't put anything on that I don't believe in. And MSI, I think, is really important trying to help.
Well, as a woman or a man, we should all believe in that. You know, we should be entitled to have control over our bodies. Not, I really don't want altacockers telling me what I can't do. Even though I'm a little old to have a child, it doesn't matter.
It's not just about reproductive.
It's about basic. People don't realize that health clinics are not just about abortion or birth control. They're about general woman's health. And a lot of women can't afford a normal doctor or some kind of fancy concierge doctor. They need public free health care. How are we the most sophisticated nation on earth without the most basic human rights?
Yeah, and the most sophisticated and the wealthiest country in the world. And how can't we not help other countries and women in need around the world? It is just absolutely
insane.
Ridiculous.
Okay,
so all right, let's I think we should talk about this bill, and then we'll talk about, on top of that, which is a breaking news, this crazy big beautiful bill that he calls it, but it's a big bamboozle bombastic bill that I will call it. And then on top of that,
the Senate hasn't passed it yet.
The Senate is please find me, because there are Republican senators who are speaking out yesterday and I believe this morning saying we're going to have to go through this with
we should talk about
scalpel.
why that is, because this cut of Medicaid, Medicare, or Social Security, or all three, are anathema to Republicans and Democrats, because that is the base of every constituency, and they don't want that passed. They will lose elections over that. That is the majority of people, and they are terrified of losing their base, because those are the three critical issues of America.
Yeah.
And people have always been told, what have we been putting money into our entire lives and careers?
Yeah. Okay, so listen, this is a little bit long, and I tell you, some things are not sexy, but it's very informative. Peter, the producer, has said, look, I know it's a little bit long, it's a little slow, but it's very important to explain what's happening with this bill. We're not going to listen to the whole 4 minutes of it. We're going to let Ezra Klein explain some of what's happening with this big budget. He calls it a big budget bomb. Here it is.
We live, for reasons I won't pretend to understand, in an age when the only truly bipartisan idea is that landmark legislation demands triple B alliteration. President Joe Biden's signature proposal was Build Back Better. Now President Trump has yoked his presidency, yoked all of us, to his
big, beautiful, that gorgeous, big, beautiful bill.
Let me suggest another name for it. I'll even stay on trend. The big budget bomb. I'm recording this on Wednesday, May 21st. It's always possible things will change.
It is Thursday, May 22nd. It is 7:01 on the East Coast, and we've got breaking news. Moments ago, the House just passed President Trump's big, beautiful bill.
The bill is passed.
President Trump with this reaction. Now it's time for our friends in the United States Senate to get to work and send the bill to my desk as soon as possible.
But as of right now, the damage this thing will do to the budget, if it detonates, is hard to properly convey, in part because the size of this thing is hard to properly convey. And the budget, to be honest, is only where the problems this bill would cause begin. When you're thinking about the size and cost of legislation, you got two different sides to keep in mind. How much the bill costs, either through new spending or tax cuts, and how much of that cost is paid for versus added to the debt. The Inflation Reduction Act was expected to cost about $500 billion over 10 years, and it paid for that spending and more through tax increases. The Affordable Care Act was expected to cost about $1 trillion over 10 years. All of that, again, paid for. Trump's 2017 tax reform bill, when you added everything up, left an estimated $1.5 trillion of tax cuts unpaid for. The big budget bomb exists in a class unto itself. According to the Committee for Responsible Federal Budget, which I think nowadays is Washington's saddest advocacy group, if you take seriously the permanence the Republicans are actually seeking, the big budget bomb will add about $5 trillion to the debt over the next decade. $5 trillion. That is an insane number. You remember when Trump promised to balance the budget?
I want to do what has not been done in 24 years, balance the federal budget. We're going to balance it.
Yeah.
I also remember that. That happened in March. I've been talking about what the bill does to the budget. But here's what this bill does in the real world. It cuts taxes, mostly for richer people. It cuts Medicaid and food stamps. Republicans are also allowing some Obamacare subsidies to expire. And so the estimate is that between all this, 13 million people, 13 million, will lose health insurance. It's also grimly exact. The bill has $1.1 trillion in tax cuts for people who make more than $500,000 a year.
Okay, I think we got it.
1.1.
Thank you to Ezra Klein. So there you go. Poor people, working class people are going to be paying more in taxes, losing services like Medicaid, Medicare.
Which they have counted on their entire lives and have always had.
And to help to pay into with taxes.
We've all paid into for years and years for Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. And it's just unbelievable that we live in the richest, most incredible country in the world, and we don't have basic services that many countries who are far less fortunate than we have all these services and provide free medical health care and provide all these abilities to get taken care of. We don't. And by these bills, this big, beautiful tax bill that Trump is so adamant about, that we're going to cut it some more.
We have, but you have people like Ron Johnson, Republican senators. You have Josh Hawley. They're all saying we're not going to touch Medicare. We're going to have to
but they
take
are.
a scalpel to this. They're going to end up doing it. The senators are saying from the bill that came from Congress.
Well, let's see what the senators really do, because we almost had Congress. There were several no signers who Trump ended up convincing. I don't know what the threats are, but they must be pretty significant.
A little bit. One more thing. I want you to listen to. I don't think we need to listen to Steve Rattner. We heard Steve Rattner yesterday saying basically what he said. If you got rid of the tax cuts for the richest Americans, they would have saved $1.1 trillion. And also on top of that, you would not have to have gotten rid of the cuts to Medicaid, Medicare, and all of those the social safety net, and you would have still saved money. It is obvious that the real reason that he wants to do this is to cut taxes for the richest Americans.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's been going on. He did that in 2016.
Yeah. Well, and I love it when people say, well, my taxes have been so terrible under Joe Biden. Joe Biden's taxes. It wasn't Joe Biden's taxes ever.
No, they were Trump's.
They were Trump's taxes.
And I think his expire, isn't it next year?
No, 2025. They expired at that's why they were in a rush to get this done.
Got it.
Because they were going to expire.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about tariffs. So, New York Times article on tariffs, and this is the tariffs that have just happened here. Donald Trump is saying that he wants to give, there it is, Trump administration, president threatens EU and Apple with new tariffs. Go to the body of it, Andy, so that we can tell them what it is. With new tariffs, this happened just within the last couple of hours. President Trump threatened to revive his global trade wars Friday morning, saying that he would apply a steep tariff to European exports starting in just over a week, and warning Apple, Tim Apple, remember that?
Yeah.
That iPhones manufactured outside of the United States would face a 25% tariff. Now,
that's not going to happen.
Yeah, but who would pay for that?
We do.
Yeah.
We only pay for it, not anyone else.
Yeah.
I think, again, this is like the China threat, where he did impose a 145% tariff on China. And then we backed down because we blinked. They didn't, which is fine. I don't care who blinks, because it was insane.
But do you think he's going to do, probably, again, what he will do?
This is negotiation. He loves to negotiate.
It publicly, but he doesn't have to do it publicly. That's the thing. And
but he does, because that's what he lives for.
Yes, he lives for it, but it would not cause so much turmoil with the markets globally.
He doesn't care.
But you're saying they're going to get used to the gyrations.
They already are. I think we are getting used to
here in the United States. But do you think the folks around the world are going to get used to these gyrations? Because they're not going to. It's going to make America less dependable.
It depends how long it goes on for. I think if it continues in this way, where we're going to impose 50% tariffs on the UE, we're going to impose tariffs on Tim Apple. We're going to impose tariffs again on China, even though I gave it a 90-day pause. This is all negotiation. And it's just, he's a moron. This is not how you, I came from a career as an agent. All I did all day was negotiate. This is not how you negotiate. There's zero anything strategic about this. This is just his warped sensibility of being the most powerful man in the world and using it and knowing that no one's going to say no to him. And then we see the economy and the bond market drop to the bottom, and the stock market and his billionaire cronies are saying, what the fuck are you doing? And at some point he listens to a microscopic version of this, and then you'll see a little tweak.
Yeah, well,
A
he will
tweak.
listen to the last person that's in his
ear.
ear. Right.
Last night it was the crypto people. Lamar Odom, he's listening to a former drug addict who OD'd, and you know, he's listening to a basketball player from the LA Lakers right now. So
yeah, well, I mean, it's roiling pretty much everyone except for. But the thing is that, do you think the people who voted for him, the Heartland, the rich people understand?
Right.
All of the rich dudes, you know, the
well, they're losing money too, but not where they're going to be poor the way most other people will be.
Well, because they're going to be okay with the tax cuts, right? And they'll say, well, you know, maybe in the long run, this is better and sustainable for us. And of course, they can hold out because they have money, but most Americans cannot hold out and wait. Okay, so let us. This is Josh Hawley, I believe, responding to this big, beautiful.
Who's a big
bill.
MAGA nut?
Yeah, but he's saying Donald Trump is not going to sign this legislation. Watch this.
This bill is not going to become law in its current form, not least because President Trump won't sign it. Manu, I've talked to him about this personally multiple times. He has been crystal clear in public, too. No Medicaid benefit cuts. We need to give a tax cut to working people, not raise their taxes when it comes to health care, not take away their health care benefits. I hope this bill will get refocused on delivering relief for working families. That's what we ought to be doing.
Well, that's the very first time I've ever agreed with anything Josh Hawley has said.
Yeah, but then tomorrow.
But it's meaningless.
Yeah, but then tomorrow, what is he going to say?
Tomorrow he's going to say, after Trump speaks to him and says whatever he says, he's going to say what all the MAGA people say, which is, we're passing the bill.
We're passing the bill.
I
That's
mean,
what's going to happen.
Guys, just.
I don't know. I mean, look, I believe prayer changes things, but I don't know. I think the
hopes
devil.
and prayers aren't changing shit. They're not changed. Doesn't even sound good anymore.
Let me just show you one thing that I want to get to before we go to the story that Tracy really wants to talk about. By the way, we told you about Harvard yesterday. This is Harvard. They're reporting Harvard's statement on international students. Harvard is now suing.
But suing who?
They're suing the Trump administration.
But ultimately, it goes to the Supreme Court, who's in Trump's pocket. So who wins? We already know. It's like, I believe in Harvard and I love what they're doing, but where is that going to go?
Well, at least they're standing strong.
More than Columbia University did, more than other colleges did, whose endowments are less. But it's a horrible, disgusting tragedy that he is wreaking upon the college system of our incredible country with some of the best schools in the world.
Well, I stand with Harvard. Hey,
Harvard.
Producers, look it up for me. I think Harvard's endowment is like $50 billion or something like that.
$4 billion, I think.
Is it? I thought it was
no,
higher
it's not
than
50
that.
billion.
I thought it was like $50 billion. Okay, so I stand with Harvard. This is what Harvard's president put out this morning. Harvard, Office of the President, supporting our international students and scholars. Dear members of the Harvard community, yesterday the federal government announced that it has revoked Harvard certification under the student blah, 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 blah. They said the revocation continues a series of government actions to retaliate against Harvard for our refusal to surrender our academic independence and to submit to federal government's illegal assertion of control over our curriculum, our facility, and our student body. We condemn this unlawful and unwarranted action. It imperils the future of thousands of students and scholars across Harvard and serves as a warning to countless others at colleges and universities throughout the country who have come to America to pursue their education and fulfill their dreams. Okay, so let me just give this. We have just filed a complaint and a motion for a temporary restraining order. Temporary restraining order will follow, and a temporary restraining order will follow. As we pursue legal remedies, we will do everything in our power to support our students and scholars. The Harvard International Office will provide periodic updates and new information as new information becomes available. So they filed a temporary injunction. We'll see what happens. But again, Harvard has a huge endowment.
It's $53.2 billion.
Oh, sorry, I was wrong, Don. I
$billion.
stand corrected.
No, I'm not saying that.
No, but
that's a lot of money that they can sustain with $50 billion.
I know, but it's just the horror that's being visited upon all of these schools. First, they have to get rid of DEI. Then they have to tell the government everything they can about their students and basically be spies.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
what
not
they
the
want.
business. That's not the business that a school, an academic institution is in.
But that's what Kristi Noem said.
Yeah.
Basically, they're not allowing us to be spies on the students.
Well, maybe she could come and kill a couple of dogs or some of the students. She could take her fucking AR-15 and just shoot everyone.
Here's Kristi Noem.
Bitch.
18% of Harvard's freshman class this year are foreign. They're foreigners here on student visas. What happens? Where do they go now? What do they do?
Yeah, we have given Harvard multiple opportunities to give us the documentation that we've requested to conduct oversight. We've asked them for the backgrounds on students that attend their university, their criminal activity on campus, off of campus, any video or audio footage they have of this violent activity, and they have just simply not complied. This is something that they need to do in order to comply with this program as it was established. And so, unfortunately, all of their foreign students will face the consequences of Harvard's lack of
Tracy's
protecting.
like you guys. She's like, I don't want to hear from these folks. And by the way, Tracy was referring to the dog. That's a name for a dog. That's an official name for a female dog.
What criminal activities have students been involved in? The most criminal activity that I can think about is the criminal activity going on within the entire Trump administration. I doubt that most Harvard students that are foreign students have committed crimes. And why it should be reported to anyone is preposterous, because none of this exists except in their mind to basically further the superiority of the white race.
Yeah. So time for a word from our sponsors. Support for the Don Lemon Show today comes from 120 Life. Do you know anyone who has high blood pressure?
I used to.
You used to?
Yeah, but I don't.
Yeah, but so you can get it under control. And so support comes from 120 Life. I told you about my family. My mother has high blood pressure. So this what I'm going to talk about is not just for high blood pressure. It's also for blood sugar levels as well. So I want to tell you about 120 Life. It's something that I drink every single day. As soon as I'm done with my coffee, I'm going to have you see that thing over there in the red thing? What does that say? You see 120 Life?
Yeah.
Yeah. 120 Life that I do. As I tell you, I'm not going to have any products on this program I'm not going to promote anything that I don't believe in. Right? So 120 Life is something that I use, and it's something that has helped me. It's not just for high blood pressure. It's also beneficial for other health conditions like diabetes. 120 Life is trusted by healthcare professionals, with hundreds of doctors recommending it to help manage blood pressure naturally. It provides visible, measurable changes in blood pressure. You can use a simple monitor at home to track your progress. Basically, what it is a drink of 100% natural juices. It is a blend of great tasting superfruit juices that have been shown to actually help lower your blood pressure and help with your blood sugar levels. Okay, for a limited time, you can try 120 Life and save 20% off. Just use the code DON, D-O-N, at checkout at 120life.com. 120 Life offers a risk-free trial with a full refund if you don't see lower numbers in 2 weeks. Go to 120life.com and use the code DON to save 20%. There is nothing to lose except for your high blood pressure numbers. Okay? Go to 120life.com, use the code DON to save 20% off. Remember, you must use the code DON to get this special offer. This serious guys, we're talking about your life and 120 Life. 120 Life can help. Also, support comes from BetterHelp. After I do this, I'm going to talk to you guys about the importance of mental health, getting the stigma off, as I always do and I've always done since I have been a person who has had a public platform. There is no shame, no stigma in getting therapy, talking to someone. And now it's more convenient than ever, especially with BetterHelp. Okay? So I have a therapist that I do online, that I do virtually every single week. Often seeking help can feel like a monumental task. Finding time and money for therapy can be a barrier. BetterHelp is there to work with you. The therapy is fully online. makes it far more accessible, affordable, and convenient than a lot of in-person therapy services. They've helped more than 5 million people around the world, 10 years of experience matching people with the right therapist from their diverse network of more than 30,000 licensed therapists. Okay, so we are all better with health. Visit betterhelp.com/Don Lemon to get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/Don Lemon. And thank you to our sponsors. Tracy,
Yes.
do you know how much we talk about therapy?
We talk about mental health, and all kidding aside, sponsorship, which is incredibly important and great. Mental health is everything. Mental health is real wealth.
Yeah.
Except Donald Trump will probably is working hard on taking all of our mental health away by making us freaked out every 24 minutes, as I like to say. So really focus on mental health and talk to people, talk to a therapist, talk to a friend, talk to people. You shouldn't be suffering alone.
It's been very helpful.
I mean, this is not kidding. This is a very serious, and I actually think it's gotten much worse since Donald Trump has been president.
Do you do virtual or do you go in?
I do both.
You do both?
I do both.
And you know, over the last, I haven't wanted to bother anyone, you know, within my family or my friendship group over the past couple of weeks of what happened with my sister. And Tracy's been like, you're not talking to me. You're not reaching out. What's going on? But I have been talking to my therapist, and I know I should probably reach out to you. I feel like I'm
when you're
burdening
ready.
you.
It's not a burden on me.
Yeah.
It helps me to help you.
Yeah. So Boomer's been calling to get up here. Boomer wants to be on. He's at
everyone on TikTok wants to know my name and wants to follow me.
Oh, Tracy.
I don't have a podcast, but my name is Tracy.
But you should.
I am thinking of it. Tracey is how you spell my first name. Jacobs. Jacobs. I don't have a podcast yet. I'm on Don's show from time to time. And I love talking to all of you and love hearing from you, where you're from, what you're thinking, how you're feeling, because we're all in this together and we're all going through difficulty. I don't care who you are. And, you know, the only way we get through it is as a community. And that's why I like these mental health sponsorships, because it's everything.
Well, I go through this. I get to pick the sponsor.
It's so
and I try it.
important.
If it's not good, I don't do it.
It's a great sponsor, and it should be that way.
Yeah, I agree. 100%.
I appreciate all of you guys on TikTok. Hi, everyone.
Okay, so let's talk about what Tracy wants to talk about. Tracy, go ahead.
Yeah,
Diddy, what happened?
Getting off of the heavy subjects of what's depressing.
What do you think of Diddy? I haven't talked to you that much.
I feel a couple of ways. First of all, I wish this was not a federal trial, because there's no cameras allowed in federal court. They're only allowed in state court. And thus far, this trial has seemed like it's been a case about severe and serious domestic violence, which it is not. Let us remember, he already is. In fact, his lawyer started their opening by talking about what a horrible, abusive, drug addicted, crazy, sick man he is. We all know that. He's a domestic abuser. Cassie Ventura, as well as many others, were abused by him for years. But that's not what these charges are. Those are state charges.
Yeah.
These are federal charges, which involve racketeering, RICO, conspiracy, organization, and state transportation to engage in prostitution. There's one other charge. These are all federal charges.
But do you think they're going to stick, Tracy? Because
thus far, they've made an incredibly compelling case for domestic violence. Although yesterday they had Kid Cudi in talking about how he believes, and Cassie believes, that he broke into his house and also committed arson on his Porsche and blew up part of the car as a result of Cassie Ventura allegedly seeing Kid Cudi while she had broken up for a while with Diddy. And that was kind of payback to him and to her. And I am concerned that the domestic violence case, which you've got to use foundationally to build the case against Diddy for all the federal charges to get them to stick, I am concerned that they are not building a proper racketeering case. And if they can't build these three charges, he will walk. His life will be hell forever and a day. But he may not be convicted. All it's going to take is one juror to say, I don't believe he committed racketeering or RICO, unlike R. Kelly, who was convicted on these very charges.
You say, though, that you believe that they are making a very compelling case. Some of the attorneys that I listen to, including Harvey Levin, say, where's the crime?
Where is the conspiracy?
Where's the
Where is the
conspiracy?
RICO? Where is the racketeering? Where is the transportation of people across state lines?
Because he's not on trial for beating
prostitution.
Cassie for that
No,
video
that's
and the
domestic violence. That's a state charge. If he was on trial for that, he would have been convicted because there's ample pictorial, editorial, video evidence of just that. But unfortunately, that is not what this case is about. And so the prosecution has a heavy load upon them. And one of the prosecutors is James Comey's daughter, former head of the FBI, who is prosecuting, amongst others, Diddy on these charges. I would like to think, I'm trying to be hopeful here, that the domestic violence is the foundation for which they are building the racketeering and the transportation charges to convict him. But just remember, it only takes one jury, and you don't want a mistrial, you don't want a hung jury. But Diddy has a team of lawyers who have been good. The one that's been the most impressive.
Is it Mark Garagos' daughter?
It's Mark Garagos' daughter, who started the opening for the defense by talking about, you're not going to like Diddy. He's an abuser. He's a drug addict. He's a horrible person. He beats people. She acknowledged all the things we have on
right
video.
in front of him.
Right in front of him, to lay the foundation for, all that. But that's not what this case is about. That's not what the charges are about. So by saying all that, she has acknowledged what we're all seeing, the horrific video of Cassie being beaten in the hallway of the hotel, as well as other pictures of her being wounded severely by him hitting her, choking her, beating her, all the things that he did. But that's not what this case is about. And because there's no cameras in federal court, we can't see the moment-to-moment reactions of people. All we're getting are terrible sketches. But I am worried that this case could go sideways due to the lack thereof yet of compelling federal evidence to convict him on all these charges. And he turned down a plea deal, which may have been the right
That was my question. We're like right on the plea deal. He should have done that, because the stuff that's coming out.
No, he thinks he's going to skate, and you know what? He might.
I
wouldn't have said this to you a couple of weeks ago.
Can I talk to you? Can I talk to you about?
What does everyone think about this? I'm curious to hear.
We do, and
comments.
I'm looking at some of the comments, but I just want to say I can talk to you about, because you had to testify in a trial that was not.
It was a state case.
It was a state
case, and it was on video.
Yes.
It was all aired, and I was on court TV, which I never wanted.
Can I talk about this?
Of course, yeah.
So Tracy used to represent
Johnny
Depp as an agent. Tracy was a big time. The whole era of the woman high profile, high powered woman agent was this woman. Were you the Devil Wears Prada as an agent?
No. I although I did like my coffee like Anna Wintour, extra hot.
But you represent, I think, the highest paid movie star
of his time.
The biggest movie star of his time. And so
Correct.
you represent him. And so the reason I'm bringing it up is because you had to testify in a case.
It's public record, which is the only reason I can even speak to it.
But everyone thought Johnny Depp was going to lose and that Amber Heard would win, because they thought that she had been abused.
Until she testified.
Yeah.
And she's I can't give.
I'm saying that because these cases don't always end up like people think. Look at OJ, look at Johnny Depp.
Right, but they weren't trying to prove RICO with Johnny Depp. They were just trying to prove that he domestically abused her, which ultimately he won the case. She won some money, he won the majority. It's a wash. Neither of them paid each other, I don't think. And Johnny suffered as a result of her charges, because once you put that out in the world, you can't take those words back. This is very, very different. This is a federal case, and RICO is very hard to prove. And, thus far, the trial's going to probably go on for 5 to 6 more weeks. I don't think they've proved anything relating to RICO. I think where they're closer is the transportation of people across state lines to engage in prostitution. As a lot of evidence has been given by assistants in arrangements of trying to get these male escorts to come in from different places all over the world.
Yeah, here's the thing. Yes, someone said, doesn't the feds have a 95% conviction rate?
They do. Generally, they do.
But you never know.
I just wouldn't hold my breath. This is not like R. Kelly. Diddy is a lot richer and a lot more successful, has a lot more money, at least right now, until they put the clamps down on all the money. And I'm sure he's paid his legal team thus far probably $20 million at least to defend him. And it just continues. And he has a huge team, and there's a tremendous amount of work. And RICO is hard to prove. Conspiracy. And it just doesn't feel like, to me, and I'm not a lawyer, I'm not anywhere near a lawyer, but it feels like they've conclusively proved domestic violence. But again, I just want to be clear, that's not what this case is about.
You love this. You love this stuff. This is why she's our West Coast Hollywood correspondent. And then she schooled me on the Diddy stuff and the Jay-Z stuff. She goes, why aren't you covering Jay-Z? Why aren't you covering Diddy? But then there was one that we do disagree on. And what case is that?
Justin Baldoni.
Yeah. I think that people on the East Coast don't give a shit about
Hey, do you guys give a shit about Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, and Justin Baldoni?
Because I'll give
you my point of view, because there was a big Taylor Swift update yesterday that happened in the last 2 days. Give Tracy a show on this. God damn it, I want my own show on this. Am I not allowed to say it? I apologize.
No, but you can have a show on my network if you want.
I will have a show on your network, but here's what's going on briefly, because Don tells me.
No one cares. They say, no, we don't care.
All right, so should I not even
Some
talk
folks
about
say yes,
Taylor
they care.
Swift?
Go for it.
I'll make it brief, just in case there's 3 people that care. Taylor Swift was deposed in the Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds lawsuit by Justin Baldoni's team, a lawyer, a litigator named Brian Friedman. She was deposed a couple of weeks ago. Yesterday, they withdrew the subpoena to depose her. And the reason why is because clearly she has already turned over either texts or information to Justin Baldoni's team about how she was essentially had by Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds to help them crucify Justin Baldoni, who I believe has been treated disgustingly by Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. And I think this is a conspiracy, which if it goes to trial, which I still don't believe it will, I believe they'll settle a lot more money than they were going to by their trial is supposed to start March of 26. I believe they will settle before then, because Blake Lively is now unemployable, is going to lose. She has damaged Ryan Reynolds. It hasn't shown yet, but Disney is certainly not happy with the Marvel component.
But didn't she say there was she claimed abuse? There was an abuse claim.
Sexual harassment.
Okay, but again, you would think that she would win that, at least with the public.
Who
in
would
the court
win?
of public opinion?
Blake Lively.
Blake Lively. Yeah.
No, because if you've seen the text and the evidence, it's very clear that she, in my opinion, this is my opinion, that she made this all up. And I mean, I'll go further than that and saying I think maybe Blake Lively, caught feelings for Justin Baldoni, and someone like a husband found out in looking at dailies and was busy rewriting the script. And then,
in your opinion?
In my opinion, I just said it was my opinion, although many others agree.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, and they launched this spurious lawsuit, which is literally, Blake Lively's career is over. No one's going to touch her. There's no director or producer that wants to work with this.
You believe that?
Totally. And I think Ryan Reynolds has been harmed as well, but we'll see. Men seem to survive better than women, generally speaking. But I would venture to say Ryan was the instigator for all of this.
What happens to Justin? Blake. Is his career suffering?
His career, he can't get a job, but he's going to win probably $50 million.
But after he wins, will Hollywood accept or bring back Justin Baldoni?
Depends what's said. It depends what's said. I mean, if I were Blake Lively, I'd step up now and just say, I made a mistake. I apologize. I mistook something for what it wasn't. but that doesn't seem to be happening. They just seem to dig further and further into this. The longer it goes on, the worse it is for everyone involved. And it's just so unnecessary. The only people that win in this and they get rich are the lawyers.
Yeah.
The lawyers are getting really, really rich. Justin Baldoni has his company Wayfair, who's run by a billionaire, paying his legal bills. And Blake Lively and Ryan are paying theirs. And I would say, again, the legal bills, not unlike Diddy, are in the $20 to $30 million already.
This is one of the most informed, smartest people I know. And people would ask, why are you guys friends? It's so unusual that you're friends.
Well, we became friends when you were working at CNN.
Yeah, way before I left CNN.
Yeah, no, I just watched you and was a huge fan. That's the reason I asked to meet with you. I was a huge fan of what you were doing, what you were saying, and I felt you were one of the only honest arbiters of life, the news, and what's really happening in the world. And sometimes for that, we get punished for saying the truth. I know.
I love her. Isn't she great? And tell her why it's important to support independent media and folks like me.
It's so important to support independent media because they have the true voices of distinction that can clarify both sides. Yeah. I think we need to understand, before we all trash MAGA and the right side, I think we need to understand what they're saying and what their beliefs are. And we also need to understand the liberal side, which is where I come out. And I come out more independent now, which is I want to know both sides, because to be smart, you need to understand both sides. So we're going to ultimately have to, in some way, come together to fix this horrific situation Donald Trump has gotten us into, because none of us want to live in a corrupt world. I really don't believe that, other than him and his cronies.
Yeah.
But the rest of us want our Medicare, want our Medicaid, want our Social Security, want a fair system of economics, want to have the ability to make money and do well and support our families. We don't want to live in a corrupt world where only billionaires and soon to be trillionaires are the ones paying no taxes.
Yeah. You heard it. So look, send suggestions of what you think Tracy's show should be named. I think it should just be called The News with Tracy. All right. So listen, everybody, thank you so much. I'm about to do if you are on Substack, I'm about to do a Substack with someone who has been in the court every single day. Diddy.
Who?
At the trial.
Who?
You have to find out.
Not Tisa.
No, I'm not going to tell you. You got to go to Substack, and we're going to do it as soon as I leave this. I'm going over to Substack, and we're going to do a live.
Hey, I'm just going to tell you guys something. I no longer watch linear TV. I get my news and everything entertainment, and from reading also, but from YouTube. And that's where you guys should be focused. That's where the best news is. That's where the best of everything is. You get a multitude of different platforms, information, points of view. It's I may be 67, but I'm doing what the young kids, facelift, baby, 10 years ago, it held well. Lower though, not the eyes. Don't ever touch the eyes. The eyes is a very bad thing. It's a dead giveaway, and I had no intention of giving it away, but now I'm telling all of you, so what the hell. But Don,
I'm kidding,
it's all good, but the kids are watching it. There's a reason for it. It's digestible. It's not lengthy ad hominem horrificness about Donald Trump. I don't want to hear that. I can only listen for like 3 minutes at a time. It's too depressing.
I always tell them, don't sit in front of the TV all day just getting angry.
Don't sit in front of the TV and cogitate and ruminate. One of my shrinks once told me, ruminating is the worst, most destructive thing. Being in your brain, I'm a sober person, so maybe that explains my insanity. Being in your brain is the worst being in your mind,
in your head.
Being in your head is the worst neighborhood to continuously be in. So try and get out of that neighborhood, because it don't help. But
Tracy Talks, that's what they say the name.
Tracy Talks. Yeah. I'll talk any day, all day. I'll talk to all of you. Thank you guys so much.
10 minutes late for my Substack. So guys,
thank you.
Thank you. And look, make sure you become a member. Thank you for someone gifted. Look at that. Rebecca Conklin gifted 5 memberships.
Wow.
50
wow.
memberships.
Thank you so much, Rebecca.
Yeah, because of her generosity. And welcome to all of our new members. Thank you, Rebecca Conklin. Thank you for your support of your very generous support of independent media. Sound Died, thank you very much for your support of independent media. Appreciate all of you. Welcome to the new members. Subscribe. It's right there next to the Don Lemon Show logo. Or see, the dogs agree. Or become a member. It's extremely
Everyone seems to like Tracy
reasonable.
Talks.
That's what we're going to do.
Tracy Talks, because
Yeah.
Tracy can talk about a multitude of things from political to entertainment. I read, I watch. You have to be a well-rounded person, not enough to know about entertainment. Who cares? It's a nice part of the conversation. But what's going on in the world is important to understand. That's all. It's been great seeing you guys. Can't wait to see you again.
Tracy spills the tea.
Too long a title, but I love it. And I love you for thinking about these titles.
All right, guys, we're going to see you here live at 5 o'clock. Perhaps Tracy, come on, doggies. Hey, boys. Thank you very much. They don't listen to me. Until then, until we see you at 5 o'clock, turn the TV off.
Thanks everyone for watching. Your support means the world to us. So make sure you hit the like button and you subscribe to our channel to make sure that you never ever miss a video. We're live every day, 10 a.m. Eastern time. We drop even more content at 2 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Eastern. And if you want more Don Lemon Show content, we'd love for you to become a member of the Lemon community, where you will receive access to special community posts. You'll get exclusive content and members-only live shows. So head over to our channel page or click the join button on this video. Again, thank you for watching. We appreciate your love and your support.